Can things get worse for Donald Trump's administration? The answer is always yes. No matter how many criminal scandals they are embroiled in, no matter how much covering up is happening in the White House, it can only get worse. And it only has, with a brutal lawsuit that has Carolyn Leavitt, the spokesperson of this flailing administration, doing some panicking of her own. We are going to get into it all and this bombshell lawsuit. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into this lawsuit and why Leavitt is so panicked, I want to start with the topic that Leavitt is panicked about. And that is Donald Trump's tariffs, the most idiotic economic agenda in history.
Well, we do have backup plans, and the president's trade team is working diligently on those contingency plans. But ultimately, Maria, we are hopeful that the Supreme Court will rule on the right side of the law and do what's right for our country. The importance of this case cannot be overstated. The president must have the emergency authority to utilize tariffs. Look at what President Trump has been able to do by leveraging tariffs and leveraging the might of the United States economy. We are the #1 consumer country in the world, and every country around the world knows it. It's because of tariffs that President Trump has been effectively able to cut so many tailor-made trade deals with so many countries around the country. Look at what around the world. I mean, look at what he just did in Asia. You had
Is Carolyn Leavitt touting America having the biggest economy in the world, the most robust economy in the world, as a success for Donald Trump? Is she aware of what? Does she know we were already America before Donald Trump? Is this something that she is aware of? I know she is bought into the cult. She is having like a gallon of Kool-Aid a day. You know those people who carry around like the ridiculous water bottles? I'm not talking about the jug, but the one where it's like drink here by 7 a.m. and there. And it's just like, God, like just have a couple cups of water. You'll be fine. Like Carolyn Leavitt is drinking that much of the Trump Kool-Aid. It is not Donald Trump who made America great. And he's not going to make it great again. He's only made it inextricably worse. I can barely even say it because of how badly he's screwed up. But Donald Trump's tariffs have done nothing to make this economy better. They have only done things to make the economy worse. Donald Trump came into this administration with one singular, big, bold, quite frankly, beautiful is what he said, so beautiful promise. And it was to make things cheaper. They've only gotten more expensive. Our quality of life has deteriorated, and especially around the holidays, in which we just had what was labeled the biggest Black Friday ever, the most purchasing ever. But you know what there was few of? Items purchased, because shit is so expensive. And Jessica Tarlov pointed that out right here.
It's a Trump plus.
No, I'm talking about, look, I know you're going to go to Trump, but it's more about the candidate in
Mike Van Epps.
Yes.
Yes. The guy, he's, Matt, sorry. Been on TV all day. Mike Johnson has to fly in to do a rally with him this morning and get Donald Trump on the phone. He won by 22 points. This wasn't like it was close. But what is it?
Yes,
the
what is it about
cost of living is up $650 per family from last year.
In Nashville?
Yes. They don't think that Donald Trump has a plan, or the Republicans have a plan to lower their cost of living.
From last year.
Since Donald Trump has been president, their lives are $650 more expensive.
Why is that?
Because of his useless tariffs.
Is it because gas went up?
Manufacturing.
I'm just trying to get the points. I'm trying to help you, Jessica.
I think I'm doing absolutely fine on it. And I think that she is right as well, that there are people who live in Nashville who understand that she's complaining about the tourism part of it, like how you complain about your neighborhood, which you dearly love.
Yeah, that's crime. That's violent crime. It's not about tourists. Tourists saved my neighborhood. Okay. Like they saved New York.
This is the problem, and this is what the dynamic will be going through the midterms.
There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that you can point to that this administration has been successful at, except, I guess, enriching the people who are part of this administration. If you own stock in Don Jr. or Barron Trump's portfolio, I don't know how that's possible, it wouldn't be, but you know what I mean, then you're doing well. But if you're not a billionaire or a tech CEO who can easily buy off Donald Trump with a little gold Apple, whatever, gizmo that Tim Cook brought in, and that's like what wins Donald Trump's heart. And so now he gets to, I don't know what, exploit labor, do stock buybacks, charge us $1,400 for a phone that we don't need. Great. Your life has not gotten better. And that is very, very clear. It has gotten worse to Donald Trump's benefit. And there is nowhere That is clearer than in his tariffs. Donald Trump is like a kingpin president, and tariffs are the mode of transport for his corruption. Right? Donald Trump has used tariffs to get business leaders and world leaders to give him toys and to heap praise upon him, and it only hurts us. Bezos can get out of the tariffs. You and I can't. We're the ones paying them until now in a bombshell lawsuit that has Carolyn Leavitt pissed off. Costco sues the Trump administration seeking a refund of tariffs. The wholesaler is the largest company to sue a federal agency over the president's signature economic policy. Costco wholesaler has sued the Trump administration, asking the Court of International Trade to consider all tariffs collected under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act unlawful. The company said in a filing Friday that it is seeking a full refund of all duties under the act paid as a result of Donald Trump's economic order that imposed what he called reciprocal tariffs. Because IEEPA does not clearly authorize the president to set tariffs, the challenged tariffs orders cannot stand, and the defendants are not authorized to implement and collect them, Costco's lawyer writes in the lawsuit. The Supreme Court is reviewing the legality of Trump's sweeping tariff agenda. In oral arguments in early November, justices appeared skeptical about the government's case to let them continue. Both conservative and liberal justices asked tough questions of the Solicitor General D. John Sawyer, though some of the conservatives seemed more sympathetic to his arguments. Trump became the first president to ever use the IEEPA law to impose import duties. Lower courts earlier ruled against the administration's use of the law, but kept the tariffs in place while the case was argued. Costco does not say in the filing how much the duties have cost the company. Importers have paid nearly $90 billion under the IEEPA law, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection data through September. In May, on Costco's earnings call, Chief Financial Officer Gary Millerchip told investors that about a third of Costco's sales in the U.S. are imported products. Millerchip said items imported from China represent about 8% of the total U.S. sales. With Friday's lawsuit, Costco becomes the latest major company to seek tariff refunds through the courts. In response, a White House spokesperson told Bloomberg News the economic consequences of the failure to uphold Donald Trump's lawful tariffs are enormous, and the suit highlights that fact. And recently, Carolyn Leavitt said that tariff revenues climbed to a new high of $34.2 billion in October. That's taxes that we're paying, pretending like this is a good thing. What is a little batshit crazy to me about the tariff refund conversation is that if Costco does get the tariff refund, which I believe they'll win this lawsuit, the Supreme Court has been incredibly skeptical of what Donald Trump has tried to argue, saying that both the tariffs are an economic and national security tool, that it's revenue that America needs, but also it's a strategic diplomatic act. It doesn't make any sense. The argument doesn't make any sense. So I think they'll win it. But if they do, sure, like they get the tariff revenue back, but what does that do for us? Like, is Costco going to say, guys, big old sale, you know those peanut butter pretzels that you get in tubs? We're going to go half off because we just got a check for $1 billion. I doubt that that's happening. I would love to see the tariff check that Scott Bessent and Donald Trump promised to us and then immediately walked back actually delivered upon. It's not going to happen, though, unfortunately. But it will be very weird when this money is returned to big box retailers. The small businesses that get money back that they had to pay, that'll be great. Hopefully, I'm not an economist, there will be some benefit to average consumers from this happening. I don't really envision that in Trump's America, but please God, we're hoping. But Carolyn Leavitt, with all this news, did not stop tonight because, of course, she wants to direct the economic angst over to anyone else, especially if that person is brown. So she went on Fox and decided, while all this is happening, why not attack some migrants?
And so that's why when the mainstream legacy media and those without a spine in our country say that President Trump's mass deportations have not gone far enough, President Trump says no, they haven't gone far enough because we must deport every illegal alien who Joe Biden allowed into this country. And not only do these people serve as a national security threat, they are also draining the resources of American taxpayers. Look no further than the great state of Minnesota, that has been run into the ground by Democrat leadership, Governor Walz, who is completely incompetent, the Somali migration invasion of Minneapolis, where we now have fraud rings of Somali migrants who are stealing nearly $1 billion worth of taxpayer benefits in that city alone. And don't take it from me, the New York Times, of all places, reported on that this week. And so we must be a country with laws. We must be a country with law and order. That's what President Trump and his entire national security team, Secretary Noem, Tom Homan, the entire White House is working on every day to restore. And the American people cannot forget the 4 long years of wide open borders that brought us to this point today.
Ah, yes, the old classic. In a bind, attack a brown person. That is the special K, Carolyn Leavitt. It's the special KKK messaging, actually, from Carolyn Leavitt, because this is what these people do. They're going to blame immigrants for everything. You can't get a house because BlackRock bought it up. Blame an immigrant. Things are more expensive because the immigrants working essentially slave labor wages. They're making your food actually cheap. No, we're still going to blame immigrants. No, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Doesn't make a lot of sense, and that's why Jasmine Crockett is calling it all out.
This is the pro-life party. I just want to be clear. This is the party that says that, they care so much about life until life actually shows up at their front door. And this is also the party that supposedly is about Christianity. And I just imagine what they would have done to a little baby Jesus, but that's a whole other issue. It is really so heartbreaking. We know that under the prior Trump administration, it was the children in cages. So right. For me, expecting them to do better by children was not one of the things that was on my bingo card. I never expected them to do better. I expected them to do worse. And frankly, that is what they have done with this entire administration, is they have made everything worse. Like, it was bad the first time, so bad that he got kicked out of office. And then unfortunately, America got amnesia and somehow he ended up back in office. And now he is literally terrorizing everyone, from children that are born in this country to children that aren't born in this country to adults. It is really sickening. And if we are really going to get back to where we are truly great in this country, it is going to take really looking at your neighbors and seeing their humanity. Mm-hmm. He was able to dehumanize people during the election, whether it was trans folk or whether it was the immigrant. He dehumanized.
Jasmine Crockett, I've maybe done a little too much wordplay this episode. That's okay. Jasmine Crockett calling out the Carolyn Leavitt Crockett of shit. Yeah, okay. I'm done. I'm sorry. I've gone too far. It's late. I'm tired of these people. I don't even know if I'm having fun at this point. We're doing our best. I'm going to keep calling them out. Maybe I shouldn't have done the wordplay. It was good. It was a good takedown by Jasmine Crockett. I just want to be supportive. And if you want to support this channel, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. I'm losing it, aren't I? You can leave a like on this video. If you're stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments.